Today we are talking about Shape of Water, plus all the latest film news. Guess what, guys?
What?
We're talking about films and stuff. We're doing it again. Let's go. Roll credits. Welcome back to Tripod Talk, the official podcast of What Pictures, where we talk anything and everything about films. I am your host, Matt Lister, and as always, I'm joined by my wonderful, sexy co-host, Sophie Ellis, and Mr. Adil Anwar.
I actually get a compliment.
She was so surprisrised.
Well, you're both sexy. How are you doing this morning?
Thanks.
Yeah?
Alright.
What you'd expect on a Sunday morning. But I think no one could tell, right? Picture of professionalism.
No, not at all. Speaking of professionalism, let's go straight into the film news, shall we?
Yeah,
I have a
sure.
couple of pieces.
4 out of 10.
I'm going to get it straight into business-related stuff.
Ooh.
Which is I know you guys don't really want to talk about it, but this is the last time I'll bring it up, I promise. Weinstein.
Hey.
No.
No, it's nothing to do with that. Weinstein Company files for bankruptcy and frees staff from secrecy orders. So it seems like the whole thing...
So there's going to be a lot more news.
Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be more people coming out or whatever, but the whole thing's just bust, which, well, as you'd expect, but now it's official. So, yeah.
Yeah.
End of an era, I guess.
Yeah. End of a bad
Sure.
area.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the films were good,
Yeah.
but, you know.
No, yeah, we'll see if it... Hopefully that'll be a big kind of sticking off point, won't it? And make some real change.
Yeah, hopefully. Speaking of change...
All right, segue number 2.
Yeah, segue number 2. Black Panther becomes the most tweeted about movie ever.
3 out of 10.
Uh,
I'm going to keep
3.
rating your segues now, just under my breath.
Okay. The hit Marvel adventure has been mentioned more than 35 million times, knocking Star Wars The Force Awakens from the top spot, which is good. That means people are actually talking about it, though.
Yeah.
Speaking of Marvel characters and Marvel actors and stuff like that, haha!
My
Tessa
God.
Thompson to star in the Men in Black films. They're rebooting Men in Black, and she's going to be one of the new cast along with Chris Hemsworth, another Marvel actor.
You big.
Oh.
I told you this week.
Oh, I see.
I did,
We
yeah.
got some news thieving. That's a whole underbelly to the show.
I know.
No one knows about.
How rude.
Yeah. What do you think about Men in Black changing hands? Will Smith's not in it anymore. Neither's Tommy Lee Jones, I don't think.
We've briefly touched upon it in film news before, because I spoke that this was going to be a reboot of a new Men in Black without them.
I think Men in Black was like pretty seminal. Like it was kind of the first. It was very kind of unusual and out there for us. And I don't know
Yeah.
if it's the kind of film that works in a reboot at all. Like it kind of wins a lot on just shock value first time around. And the fact that it's like Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith, like who decided to do that.
Yeah, I
Genius,
think it
but-
has that nice... Well, it kind of puts itself in the 90s as well, but it's got that original factor about it that just kind of hits home. It's like more of a cult film as well, I guess,
Yeah.
because most people kind of talk about it and kind of hold it close to their hearts, just like Spy Kids.
Don't reboot Spy Kids.
Oh, no, please don't ever reboot Spy
Kids. That will destroy our childhoods. Or mine and Matt's at least.
Yeah.
Speaking of films,
Hey!
that
wait.
people...
That is-
No.
that is 1 out of 10.
No.
Come on.
Speaking of films that get remade, Bollywood have announced that they are remaking The Fault in Our Stars.
Oh, Bollywood.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that'll work.
They've been doing it for a long time, to be fair, kind of just making... Because they've been quite behind Hollywood in terms of the progressive cinema, so it happens like 10, 20 years later. But it does tend to find an audience.
Yeah.
India's becoming a bit more kind of switched on and techie and kind of liberal, I guess, just with that kind of... every generation is now, with Twitter and everything and the access you've got to the world.
Yeah.
So it could probably be something that was all right. And it's definitely going to earn money because Bollywood earns tons of money.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
kicks Hollywood out the sea.
I don't think I'll watch it, just because they've said that quite a lot of Bollywood films don't manage to capture in-depth like characters
Emotional,
and stuff.
yeah.
So, plus it's one of my favourite films ever. At
You
one
gotta
point,
love that
wasn't it?
CGI, though.
What?
You gotta love the CGI they do. Have you seen some of the CGI Bollywood films? we got?
No.
It's quite extraordinary. Speaking of 90s films and possible 90s films and blah, blah, blah. There we
Alright.
go. That's the segue. Nicolas Cage will finally get to play Superman. Did you
What?
see that one?
Yeah.
Is it going to be like
Yeah.
an animated series?
Yeah, it's an animated film. You will voice Superman in the Teen Titans Go animated film, along with Halsey as Wonder Woman,
She's a singer.
Lil Yachty.
And he's
Yacht-
like a terrible rapper.
Yeah, he'll play Green Lantern. Will Arnett and Kristen Bell will also star.
Go on,
So-
Kristen
For
Bell.
an-
That is a weird.
That's
That's a
Interesting.
weird thing. I've got an incredible segue.
Oh.
This is very pinpoint. So that's an animated superhero film. Speaking of those, another animated superhero series, the Deadpool animated series. I just had to jump into my news because it works so well as a segue. Donald Glover and his brother Stephen Glover, who did the TV show Atlanta, and they kind of did an
Oh, yeah.
uncredited rewrite of Black Panther. They were going to be working with FX, writing, producing, and running that show,
Right.
Marvel's Deadpool animated series. They've now left with some kind of creative differences, like just time management and stuff like that. So that's obviously the kind of some bad news, but you know, they've laid the groundwork. That'd be something interesting to see when it would come out, because you can kind of see the Deadpool sense of humor coming across quite well in like animated shows. What with kind of the advent of animated shows now that are about, just because you could make that joke with real people, but you could make kind of harsher jokes when it's a cartoon character and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it could be interesting to see that series anyway, even if those guys have left.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
All right, my segue over.
Okay.
Anyone else got any film news?
Have you got a segue? Because I've got a segue.
I've not got
Oh,
a segue.
Okay, segue into
I'm
stuff
sick
that's
of these segues already.
I love the
segue
segues.
into TV series and stuff being being developed and changed into something else. Oh,
If you do it,
Is he
first
going-
look at George R.R. Martin's
That's
Night
fine.
Flyers.
okay, I'm good
Okay.
with that.
Yeah. The adaptation of his 1980 sci-fi novella Night Flyers is becoming a Netflix original film. Oh, not original, but well, it's been produced by Netflix anyway. So yeah, another thing by George R.R. Martin. It's being brought to the screens, which should get quite a lot of watches considering how popular Game of Thrones is. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know what it's about, but
No, I have no idea.
yeah, there's a trailer here which I could show you, but I'm not going to show you now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you got a segue? I feel like.
Yeah. Speaking
Mine.
of things,
Shall
I'm
I just
loving
sit
this.
back and just wait till you're done?
yeah, if you've not got a segue, just back off.
Alright, okay.
This is a segue game now. Yeah, speaking of films that went on Netflix, that's literally it. And also our podcast last week, I think it was, Annihilation. One of the stars of the film, David Gyasi, who I'm not sure who he played, but he's basically spoken about how upset he is that the film went straight to Netflix rather than going to cinemas, because he thinks
Oh, yeah.
audiences could have benefited a lot. And he was making a bit of a general point about the kind of films that get into cinema now, as opposed to like they decided that was a kind of film that wouldn't really play in the cinema, but he was a bit upset that it wasn't given a chance. So it is an interesting point whether that film could have been like people would prefer it if they were in a cinema watching it, and kind of had that focus you have in a cinema compared to Netflix, which is what I decided then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
though, like, that's an interesting debate because, like, say, for example, not that it goes into this, but people have made stuff, you know, specifically on YouTube and made, like, a business out of that. Haha, we're on it. This is probably what you're listening to, Anne. But, like, they can get millions and millions of views per video compared to stuff on TV that gets maybe like,
Yeah.
a couple of 100,000.
Yeah, if they're
So,
lucky.
and if you're getting more views on Netflix than you would do actual, you know, people in the cinema, then what's the difference, right? I guess it's just like, oh, I get to be in a film in the cinema, but, you know, you're going to be in other films.
Yeah, but
that becomes about how much the cinema experience kind of adds to the film, doesn't it? Because it could have definitely be something that could register with people a lot more if they were like forced to be sat in a cinema in a dark room focusing
True.
on it rather than on their phone or talking
Yeah.
to their
Just
boyfriend.
just before we go into your news, I just want to coin. I know we're going into it later on, but Shape of Water, when we watched it together,
Yeah.
that was an awesome cinema crew, wasn't it? Like everyone was just quiet, everyone was just into the film. I thought it
Yeah.
was great.
I mean, I
Yeah.
stood on Dill's foot at some point because I needed to go to the toilet. But other than that, you know,
Yeah.
pretty chilled experience.
Sorry, go on.
Am I okay to do my film news segue,
Yeah,
guys?
you're
Go on, segue
just
okay.
segue
Oh.
yourself.
Oh, my nose has gone mental.
I'm going to call you Segway Brothers, just so you know. Okay, these
Hey.
are very
Brothers.
quick fire headlines.
Okay, here we go.
Go for it.
Margot Robbie to produce female-focused Shakespearean drama series with Secrets and Lies producer.
She's getting a lot of producing roles.
She is, yeah. I was trying to figure it out from before. Cannes? Is that what it
Can
is?
Yeah.
the film festival?
Yeah, they're banning red carpet selfies because it's happening more and more where celebrities will stop and take selfies with the crowd,
Oh,
Oh, I
and they're
see.
getting a bit sick of it.
I kind of appreciate that.
Yeah, like
Takes it out of the celebrity's hands because then you don't feel obligated to do it. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's the rules, I'm afraid.
something I thought you were gonna steal from me.
okay.
The Spice Girls are doing an animated superhero
I
movie.
saw this, but I left it for you.
You knew I'd do it.
No,
Would you watch
told
it?
me that you saw it, that you'd got it, so that's why I left it. But no,
You wouldn't
I'm
watch it?
not a big fan of the Spice Girls, to be honest.
Excuse you, they had some classics. They were
They might have some classics,
have some
but they're not
classics.
for me.
they were rehearsing without Posh Spice. I think they might be doing a reunion tour. And if you think I am not going to that on my own,
I wonder how much the
excited.
tickets are going to be for that.
yeah, a
Yeah.
lot. Love, Simon, the film that we're all gonna go and watch. Yeah, cool.
Probably
Kristen Bell and Neil Patrick Harris buy out screenings so people can see the film for free. Not sure why they did it.
I guess
that
just make
seems
it a
like
point. Yeah, it was a bit. I think they both did it off Twitter, and it was just a whole. We love this film so much, we want people to see it. And maybe
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know whether they're sending disadvantaged kids or something like that, or people who couldn't understand the message of it. But no, it's fine. It's cool that they're trying to publicise something that they're
yeah,
not
it's a good
strictly
publicity
involved
stunt
with.
for them at least, anyway.
Yeah. And the last thing isn't film news. It was just something I saw on Twitter and you thought it was stupid, but I thought it was funny. The new Wes Anderson film.
Yeah,
What's it called?
Isle of Dogs.
Say it faster.
Isle of Dogs.
Yeah.
yeah.
I buzzed off that. So if anyone didn't get that, the title of the film is Isle of Dogs, and if you say it fast enough, it says Isle of Dogs. Does that sound the same?
Yeah, but
Was
people
that
get what you're saying.
clarified?
It's I
Mm.
love as in like Valentine's.
Yeah.
That was the best. That was the best metaphor.
Yeah. And very quickly, box office, Pacific Rim uprising to top Black Panther with $25 million.
That's
Eventually.
just this week,
I
innit?
think,
Yeah.
So something's finally knocked it off. Wait, has it been knocked off the top spot before, or has it just been
says
straight
it's-
running?
I don't know.
We're not
It just
sure.
says it's two top Black Panther.
Oh,
So.
okay.
But I'm not sure. Are we going to go and see Pacific Rim uprising? I've not seen the first one.
Doesn't really appeal to me.
It's all right. The first one. I don't think the second one's meant to be quite bad because Del Toro leaves it. So
Hmm.
I'd say it's probably worth watching the first one, but not so much the second one.
Yeah. Well, that's all the film news I have.
Hmm.
Do you have any more?
No, I think we should just get straight into the. Wait, have you got any?
No,
No?
no. Let's go for it. Let's get into the podcast.
Okay. The
Sure.
film review. Oh,
Is that your start?
yeah.
The film review.
The film review, that's what it's down to. Today was Shape of Water. Now, this won Best Picture at this year's Oscars, so we were all very excited to go and see it. Well, some of us were more than others. Mainly Dill. I was a little bit behind you. You didn't really care,
No.
did yourself? No. But, wait, shall we say the summary of the film first, or do you want to just...
Yeah.
Yeah?
Is that
Yeah.
everyone's
Okay.
pointing at
Oh,
me?
yeah, we're pointing at you. Okay.
Okay. Right.
So, what was the film about?
Without right, I'm going to do this one without getting into any spoilers or anything.
Okay.
Just it's set up in kind of it's a ambiguous time, but it's looking about kind of 60s ish
Yeah.
in probably America. It's this mute woman. She can hear, but she's mute. Lives by herself, and you just kind of get introduced to her and her neighbor, like her kind of neighboring flat, which is an elderly man who she's close friends with. She works at a factory as a cleaner, and Octavia Spencer plays her friend at the factory who kind of looks out for her, and they've worked together for a long time. They've got a really good bond. It's some kind of secret military facility, and this is where Fishman gets involved. Nemo.
Are you going to bring up the name?
I'm not going to bring it up yet. I'm going to save it for the moment because it's one of my favourite jokes in ages.
Okay.
But yeah, she discovers about this Fishman, and then they kind of build a relationship, and it kind of corresponds in with what's going on in that factory with the actual intelligence from him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Cool.
It's more of a story
Bit of a
about...
teaser.
Yeah, bit of a tease.
Yeah, thinking too much
So,
away.
so what were your initial... I'll start with you, Seth. What were your initial thoughts of the film?
Well, going into it, I really didn't expect that much because I knew it was supposed to be more of a fairy tale
Mm-hmm.
and a fairy tale about a woman sort of falling for this amphibian man thing. I mean, I know I've watched Beauty and the Beast,
Yeah,
so...
Yeah.
clocks can sing.
But he was a human. But I was pleasantly surprised. I liked the opening
Mm-hmm.
when it was like an opening of a Disney film and then she slowly falls down from the water and it like
I wouldn't say
continues
a
from
Disney
there.
film with certain aspects.
No, like the intro where it says like
The
long
very
time ago,
opening.
blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You know.
Not that opening.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah?
I got really into it. I didn't get too emotional like I thought I would, but pleasantly surprised.
Fair enough. Dill?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Soph was saying she was looking over at me and you during the cinema, and we both just had really dumb, super big smiles on our face.
Dude, it was like the first 20 minutes when I was like, this film isn't going to be great. And you two were just beaming.
I
at
was
this
like
dancing
entranced by the
scene.
first 20 minutes. Like just
Yeah.
it did a really amazing job for me of just putting you into the world, and
Yeah.
you could tell it was so kind of personal, and there was so many like different pieces moving it together. You know,
Yeah.
the way it looked and the way it kind of the way the music was playing and
Oh
all
yeah, like the
set
way
design
that
and stuff.
yeah, everything to do with getting you into that world
Mhm.
was beautiful for like the first say by the time it kind of started to kick in more into the actual film, say but what 20 minutes.
Yeah, about the first 20 minutes. It just
Yeah.
sets up this character and the way she lives and the way she is as a person. And it does it without telling you anything about it or without doing anything lazy, like no kind of lazy exposition or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you just watch her be in the world and watch the way she interacts with the things, and you see Sally Hawkins' performance.
Mm.
And it just kind of, I don't know, I just really kind of got an understanding of this person and really got kind of a feeling of wanting her to do well.
Yeah.
Not that I got this impression from it as well, but because we kind of go it a little bit silently, like no one really kind of says anything, you're just kind of finding out a bit more. It is actually kind of seeing it from her point of view,
Mm-hmm.
because like she doesn't really say anything or interact with anything, just the same way we as the audience go through it as well. So I thought that was quite nice. I
The
just
only-
made that up.
The only thing I didn't like about that
Mm-hmm.
was, and it's probably other than the fact that she fell in love with an amphibian. I understand why, in
Yeah.
a sense. The only like negative is about when she was signing.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it had subtitles, sometimes it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
That really irritated me.
See-
Either do all or none.
See, that for me was like, it was deliberate within
Mm.
the film whether the other person would know. So when it didn't have subtitles would be when she was talking to somebody who would, and this is me guessing because I didn't actively think it at the
Yeah.
time, but I'm presuming it didn't have the subtitles when the person she was interacting with wouldn't have known what she was saying. So you as the audience wouldn't really know what she was saying because you're coming from that point of view as an audience.
Yeah,
But it-
oh,
It had subtitles with her best friend at the start.
Yeah, because she understands the sign language because she's been friends with her for 10 years. So she's
But
learned
even
it.
the neighbour.
The neighbour doesn't get...
The neighbour had the subtitles, but the friend at the factory didn't.
Did the friend not have subtitles?
Not all the way through.
I mean-
see, sometimes, like for me, the way I was going to explain it was because I noticed there was a scene with the best friend, played by Richard Jenkins, where it didn't have subtitles, and that's because his responses to her kind of filled that role in, because she was saying something. It was
Yeah,
like,
that was
oh,
deliberate.
that blah blah blah. No, you can't do that blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
She actively asked him
Yeah.
to translate for her in the scene, and the part of the
Oh,
scene
that's-
was that
yeah.
he. Oh, you're thinking about a different bit. As
I thought it was a different bit, but no, that bit specifically.
I
Yeah,
understand that bit, but I.
Is it just like a general policy thing for you that you notice when there is subtitles and aren't?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
within the film, it made sense to me when there wasn't and when there wasn't. Because when there
Yeah.
wasn't was when I felt like he wanted me as an audience member not to really know what she was saying
Yeah.
and be in that level of confusion like I would be just interacting with her as a person.
I feel like I'm directly down the middle of you two. Like I see it from your side. Like it should be a convention that you stick to, but also it's also more like deliberate.
Yeah.
So anyway,
But I think
Subtitle.
that's my only negative
Sit on
about
the
it.
that's the
fence.
only negative.
I think so. That, and there wasn't as much time to build this fascination and romance between the
Her and the
characters.
amphibian.
It was like this sudden. I understand why she's not really had as much interaction and the similarities between them, but
Mhm.
I don't know. There wasn't much time to build that, so it wasn't too believable right at the start.
Yeah.
Like
I
I
can
see what you mean, because it feels like it moves fast
Yeah.
a little bit.
once the time between her first seeing the thing and then the time between having like an unbreakable bond is,
Yeah.
there's not much, I guess there isn't much
Yeah.
kind of screen time
And
showing it.
there is a montage in between that, but
Yeah.
I feel like if they added a few more scenes and extended it maybe by 20 seconds to get one or two more cuts in to show that it's developing this connection with her,
Yeah.
that could have helped.
For me, it was. I think Guillermo del Toro who directed it. I think he knew there was going to be a certain percentage of people who were just going to find out, wait, it's a woman who falls in love with a fish and just never buy in. And he was just like, sod those people. I'm not making the film for those people. He was
Yeah.
making the film for himself.
Yeah.
It didn't grate on me at all. I was fine with, it wasn't. They didn't show many. They didn't fill in a bunch of different scenes of like her riding a bike around the park with the guy and stuff to show that they fell in love like you'd get in a rom-com.
Like
But-
feeding each other food.
Yeah, but for me, the kind of the way the connection was built was emotional and kind of intensive enough that I understood that, first off, it set up her kind of loneliness and her feeling like so outside of the world and everybody else, and then you could see why she'd clutch to something like him,
Yeah.
and then you also kind of just the way it built their relationship for me. First off, it did it as just a kind of someone not to feel as lonely with. And then it kind of got into the whole kind of sexual side of it, which,
Yeah.
not to get spoiler or kind of, I think everybody kind of knows, but
Yeah,
And I
well,
did
let's
think
just
it
put a
was-
spoiler alert on,
Yeah,
just
go
in
on.
case. If you've not seen it, go and see it, because it is a really good film.
Uh-huh.
But we might talk into some parts that will give away some aspects of the film.
yeah, we
I
won't
feel
go
like
overboard.
most people that watch it know that
Mhm.
form of interaction between them, like
Yeah,
how far it goes.
That's why I don't really feel like that's a
See,
spoiler.
That's not.
Well, I'd heard about fish sex and stuff like
Yeah.
that, but like, you know.
Grinding Nemo. I'll finally say it.
There we
That's
go.
my favourite.
Yes, Grinding Nemo. You found that, didn't you, Sophie?
Before
Yeah,
the film, I
it's on
didn't think the film
Twitter.
could compete with that for how funny I found it. But no, film matched up. That's how strong it gets a recommendation.
So, like, going actually into the story, it's what did you think of the story itself? Like, sets up this woman being alone, finds a connection with like a creature, and then just kind of seeing how it develops from there. What did you think of that specific storyline? Did you enjoy it? Did you?
I saw a lot of it as kind of just more, even the creatures and the a lot of it was being metaphors for Guillermo del Toro, like just being that kind of person and feeling like you didn't have a voice and feeling alone and all these things. Like, again, I feel like it was really personal to the director, this film. Probably, actually, I'd say, and it'd be interesting to think whether you guys would agree or think of other films, but probably the most personal film I've ever seen, I think. Because, again, just him being a kid and feeling out of place and kind of going into cinema as a place to kind of feel, kind of get that kind of romanticism and that connection, like her and Richard Jenkins do. Like, I think this is a lot about Guillermo del Toro, and the fish guy was just a metaphor for, you know, finding somebody who would kind of like, you could have a real connection with that way. And it's just, it didn't bother me so much, just the big slimy dude side of it, because I just understood what the point he was trying to make in the
Yeah.
actual science fiction of it.
Also, just quickly into the that side of it that you talk about, fish dude, and the sliminess of it. What did you think of the graphics, real quickly?
Well, I know it was a long time. They spent a long time, and it was a lot of like effort and re-goes at drawing him and having what the actual person looked like. I thought it was pretty. I mean, it didn't blow my mind, but it was about kind of what I was expecting. I mean, it wasn't so much the CGI with him. It was more just the general shots and integrating water in, and the way it's kind of puts you in that kind of time as well, because I guess maybe he was growing up around then or just before it, so I was like, it did the job, the actual design of the creature, but I was more kind of taken with just the way it was shot in general and the kind of atmosphere of the whole film, that kind of dreamy underwater feel to it that it kind of gets.
Yeah, which I feel is the most important part of it, and if that's what you get from it, then I think he's done his job
Yeah.
fantastically well. What about yourself?
Yeah,
Giving me a look.
I was just waiting. Yeah, I agree with Dill. I was more into the actual storyline than his graphics. I was really fascinated by the way that he blinked.
The side
I-
blink,
yeah,
'cause
I
that's
love
a real
that.
nature, like loads of crocodiles and stuff, I think might do
Yeah,
that.
so I did like
Not
that sort of attention to it. I think the storyline built itself up really well from the start. We briefly discussed it on the way back up, how it shows her right at the start, the way that she's just sensual and aware of like water anyway. She boils her eggs in water. She has a splash about in the
bath
water.
every morning.
Masturbation.
Masturbation,
I'll give
yeah.
you all the credit for that.
But there's so much of her daily routine that involves water, and then this sort of sparks a new interest. And yeah, I really bought into it. I didn't think I would.
Okay, buying into stuff then. We'll move on a
Oh,
little bit.
if that's a segue.
It is a segue indeed. What did you think of the characters themselves, and then also specifically the actors and the way that they portrayed them?
Just to go myself, I like really loved all the characters, and then also the casting. So even I'd really like obviously Sally Hawkins was amazingly cast, and she was really, really good in it, and I can't really imagine anybody else doing that.
No.
Guillermo del Toro talks about seeing her, like he wrote it for her, and he saw her at he saw her at like an event, and he said he was drunk, but he tried to explain it to her, and he was like, it's not the kind of film you can explain drunk, but she's got the perfect level of like, you know, there is a, you know, she's not like Hollywood beauty kind of like turn your head as you walk down the road, but there's a real kind of like innocent kind of beauty to her that he saw, and I think that worked really well with the character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like kind of pureness to her. And Octavia Spencer was great as well. It was written for her. she was, again, she quite often just plays the friend with a bit of personality, but
Yeah.
she was great at it, and it was. And the thing is, Richard Jenkins was an amazing character.
Yeah.
And like, this is actually a spoiler, I guess, but he's a closeted gay character. And the thing Octavia Spencer said about one of her favourite parts of it is that set in this world at that time, this lead character's been cancelled and looked after by an openly gay elderly man and a black woman.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's kind of a more interesting way of doing things than you'd obviously see in a lot of kind of films.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think with Octavia, we need to know the characters' names, I suppose. But the only thing about her character was that she was so weirdly excited to find out that she'd had sex with this fish man. And she was like, oh, does he have a
Yeah.
penis? And she does, like, the movement of where it, like, retracts
Yeah.
and stuff. And if that was me, and any of my friends said they had, like, sex with, like, a fish dude,
Yeah.
I'd be like, hold up.
See, that just made it make more sense for me, because, do you know, with Richard Jenkins, when he sees him, he says he's beautiful. She as well. Like, I think there's something about him where, obviously, it's not always going to translate across the screen, and not everyone's going to think that way, but it's meant to be, if you had saw this creature in real life, and it's like a godly thing, that you would kind of think it was beautiful and otherworldly, and, like, although it's on a screen, it's a fish man. I think within that world and within the characters, it's meant to be, you when you actually set eyes on him, you see it as like a kind of beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So it makes more sense. And also, that's just her being her friend for 10 years, and she knows what's good for her, and she she can feel that this is a good thing for her friend.
Yeah.
So
Also, it's like a play on. I don't want to say it like this, but that's how they kind of presented, especially in these narratives as well, as like the outsider sort of characters, and then they also find something beautiful with this other outsider as well.
yeah,
So it's not like everyone else who, like white privilege, the white guy's in power, and he's the one trying to get everything the way that it, air quotes, should be.
yeah.
And the people who are seen as the outsiders just accept it for what it is. And I think that's quite a nice sentiment
She's
with it
got
as well.
faith. Yeah, she knows her friend, and she knows it'd be something that she knows is good for her. And
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
who cares if it's a fish man, if it's something that's going to make her happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that side of it, I think that just helped it for me even.
Yeah. There was another point, we discussed it, about Michael Shannon's character.
I was just about to bring him up with the way that I thought with performances.
Yeah, do you
as
want
well.
to?
Yeah.
I thought like everyone in this film was amazing. Sally, like there's a specific scene where Sally Hawkins has to sign everything out to the way that how she feels, and that's the scene that we were just talking about before, where there were no subtitles, and I thought that was so amazing that a scene so powerful can actually not have that much dialogue in it, and it's just like everything that she was putting into it. I thought that
Yeah.
was brilliant. Richard Jenkins as well.
He's incredible.
And then particularly for me, Michael Shannon, I thought he was a brilliant villain, mainly because I actually, for some reason, empathized with him more, that I didn't want him to fail, because I could kind of see that he was just this guy who wanted to do better for himself,
You
and
understood his
he was
belief system.
he was working the American dream, but also he was kind of pushed to the point where he had to do it, and you can see like the sort of conflict in him, and he knows that he has to go and do it, and that's what he has to do to get like the American dream. And I just loved the way that he played that character as well. Like, I know he was a bit of a scumbag at times, but then you could also kind of see that he was a bit, hesitant about certain things and the way that he did stuff, and I just thought he was fantastic. Did he get a nomination this year? I think
I think he probably he did, because he
did.
was sat at a bar in like his local town, just
Yeah.
like drinking by himself,
Oh, it
watching
was
it on
him that
TV.
did it,
yeah.
Because he's a weird dude. He talks about he has real difficulty making friends and stuff, but he's really, really good.
He was fantastic in this.
One thing I thought was interesting about his character and Sally Hawkins as well is about the basically he says he's not really a spoiler that he's attracted to Sally Hawkins, and he talks about how he thinks it's weird that he is, because there's no particular reason he should be, but there's just something about her, and do you know the way that kind of like it sets up that he gets this weird obsession with her.
Yeah.
I thought it was really kind of well done, and he sold it really well, that there was just something about her being mute that appealed to the kind of darker side of him intelligently, and the way he kind of manifested that with his wife.
Yeah.
And then as well, just how he couldn't place it, but there was something about this woman that kind of compelled him in a certain way.
That just reminds me then, like the way there's a sex scene between him and his wife.
Yeah.
It didn't occur to me
Who's
until
back-
you just said that now, and he said, just be quiet, and then he put his hand over it.
Yeah.
I didn't even realise that was like supposed to be thinking of her.
Oh yeah, he was.
Sorry, you can cut this bit out. I was completely thrown out of that scene just because of how big a nipple was.
Yeah, it was a horrible.
I was like,
nipple,
that's
wasn't
an udder. What's going on?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hey.
Yeah, no, you can cut that out. But I was saying it to mum and dad. I was
I'm
trying to
not
explain the
cutting that
film.
out.
it? Yeah.
It was like I wasn't expecting
His
how
wife
big it
was probably the least believable character of the film.
Yeah.
He came home and she was just like, "All right, shagged, right?
Yeah, I know. You ready?
Like, that's what you're here for?
Yeah.
Come on, get going."
That
But
was
I
my-
suppose like maybe that's just a '60s wife thing. Like he's making the point in the back then, the way women had to live was the husband go
Yeah.
to this work, you
Yeah.
have food ready, and
Also, it's interesting as well because he has everything that, you know,
everybody
like
would think
the
of
American, dream would.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like he had the car, he had the kids, he had like the house and everything.
His son was obsessed with him.
Yeah, you know,
Mm.
and the only thing that he wanted was to kind of get himself ahead. Like he didn't feel like he succeeded until he'd done his job, which was interesting to me. Like everyone else would have thought that's, you know, you're doing what
Yeah,
you should be
and
doing.
one
but he
failure
wasn't.
is the end. You cannot
Yeah.
fail ever.
Yeah.
So that insane pressure he put himself under.
Hmm.
No, yeah, I read he was a really interesting character as well.
So what did you think of the characters specifically? And there's one point I want to bring up in that I loved how they were morally grey.
Mm.
And like, you know, they were still doing the wrong, like the good characters were kind of doing the wrong thing, like stealing this guy and still like the fish guy. I know that's kind of the point they were trying to say,
Yeah.
but still, Michael Shannon's character and kind of being a bit hesitant about certain stuff as well. Like he thought they were right in certain parts, but then he kind of still had to go along with it. I just thought they were
And
all
if a
really
movie-
intriguing.
Yeah, and if you think about it, if the movie had been made in the '60s, Michael Shannon's character might have been the hero, and they would have been like the commie rebels or whatever, or just the kind of anti-establishment people who were the villains.
Which I
Like-
forgot there were commie rebels
Yeah,
in that.
exactly.
You know,
Michael
actually
Stuhlbarg, who's been in everything, and he's really, really good.
Yeah, he was a good. He was a good performance as well.
Yep.
Everyone in the film I thought was really good.
I suppose it depends. Obviously, this film took the point of it being through a romance, but if it was through Michael Shannon's like eyes, he didn't know there was a romance going on, did he?
I don't think so.
So to him, he would have just thought they're just saving it. They're just, you know, he wouldn't have seen that emotional attachment. Not like he would have cared.
Yeah. Or maybe somewhere deep down he would have known because he would have thought it's beautiful himself as well, but he's just obviously repressing all those feelings.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, because like he has. I think he has more of a relationship with the character, like the fish character, than anyone else. Because he's the one who captured it and had to bring it back.
Yeah, but he
Because-
beat it up.
Well, that's the only way that he
Zapped it.
knew how to kind of bring it back. You know, I mean, he'd never actually. I suppose it kind of goes with the first things that humans do to things that are different. It's
Yeah.
like they
Yeah.
attack it and they
It's a belief
suppress it
system.
rather than
It's an
actually.
abomination to it.
Yeah, so it kind of says something else about the way that people think as well.
Just quickly, I know it's a non sequitur, but I just said that earlier about it being the most personal film I think I've seen. Can you think of anything you've watched where it feels more like only that person could have made it? Or you can just sit with it if you want, rather than answer it now. But I just thought it'd be
I know,
interesting.
yeah.
Just cut out 10 minutes of silence.
Yeah, I mean, like we can go on to something else, and you can just kind of see if anything comes to mind. But I
3
just can't.
podcasts later, I'm like, oh.
I can't think of another film that's just so such a kind of clearly passion project of one person and has their kind of romanticism and sentimentality and like the way they grew up and seen the world in it. Like especially all the old cinema scenes just made me understand Guillermo del Toro so much more, that was his escape, was that kind of innocent kind of old kind of, you know, the 50s cinema world is airbrushed of anything real and dark and stuff, and everybody just loses themselves in dancing and singing, and
Yeah.
like I could kind of feel him throughout the whole film in making it. So that's why I kind of like, I thought that was really good as well. It's something that clearly just this one guy has been able to get his own vision across that well. It should be kind of applauded that way, even if you don't get the fish man shag thing.
Tell you what, I'd love to bring that up because I'm just thinking about more stuff.
Yeah.
Are we alright to bring that up as a segment in next week's podcast?
Yeah.
And
What?
actually, like, you think about personal films done by directors. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'd love to get into that topic.
Yeah, you know, I'd have
No,
some time to
write it
think
down
about
because you'll forget.
Yeah, okay. Before moving on from actors and going into like more positives and stuff, what did anyone think about the actual technical aspects of the film? I thought like the graphics specifically were really good. I thought the editing was really good as well. I thought the cinematography was very nice.
Yeah. Set design, the production design, I think all of that stuff was really, really kind of pivotal as well, just to help you
Yeah.
feel in that world.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. There was one point I wanted to bring up that was just specific, like world building as well. You know the bits in the diner,
Yeah.
and the coloured couple come in, and the guy just switches, and he's like, "No, we've not got any seats in here." And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, it kind of gives you more of a realistic way to kind of see what people were like there, and then also him completely twisting on, his friend as well, which was Richard Jenkins' character.
Yeah.
Like he didn't have to add those scenes in, but he did.
That's just to make a point that you
Yeah.
can't forget this side of history, and it wasn't that long ago, I guess he was saying.
Yeah.
When in including that, the Richard Jenkins character, I really enjoyed him as a character as well because he was so flawed.
Yeah.
Like he said no the first time he asked for help. He's clearly so vain, and you just can't find his place in the world when he got sacked. And there's so many kind of levels of, and kind of feeling like he doesn't belong in his generation as well. Like I
Yeah.
felt like that character was really well fleshed out and a really interesting person to have as your best friend to a mute person, because you could go with a lot more convenient plot devicey kind of characters, but I just thought that again the way they were all fleshed out is, and Octavia Spencer having the kind of long laborious marriage that she's sticking in because that was the way people were back then, because you didn't get divorced, that wasn't a done thing. Like they
Yeah.
were all so kind of well crafted in their own way, even if they were minor characters.
Yeah, that's
There was one part of the film I was thinking of, I wanted to bring up because I heard you gasp like audibly when
Me?
Yeah, when the cat died.
Mm.
You were like, and I just heard you, and I was like, oh no, Matt's heart's breaking next to me.
There was no need for that.
I saw that coming.
I
to
mean,
be fair. It
yeah,
had to
they-
remind
Well,
you. that-
It's he is. That is his instinct to.
And then
do
also the
that.
fact that in the next scene he's playing with the cats.
Yeah.
Like, he just needs you just need to tell him, or you just need to show him and make him feel comfortable. But it's the fact that he was panicked because he'd escaped, he didn't know what was going on, was not
Yeah.
with him.
How about I would just bring up a nice moral aspect to that?
Yeah.
Like that's the way that humans first dealt with stuff as well. But then when you actually sit down and show people how to do it,
Yeah.
instead of actually bringing stuff up, you can actually teach. What?
You're obsessed with that point. I don't know when it's.
Well, I feel
And,
like
and
that's
Richard
an important
Jenkins
part
as
of
well,
it as well.
that he forgives him immediately. Like
Yeah.
he's not pissed off at him
Yeah.
for killing his cat. He doesn't know any better. It's not his fault.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which again, that kind of empathy is something we could, what people could do with going after more often if we're
Yeah.
putting moral lessons in this.
Is there anything else you want to bring up about
Characters.
Shape of Water?
Not that I can think of. I feel like I should have had so much more to talk about, but
I'm sure some more stuff's gonna keep pelting in our heads because
Yeah.
I was really taken with it, and
Hmm.
I think you guys still took a lot more from it than you might have anticipated.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one of those films I have to watch again at some point.
Might
just
be
to
my
kinda
first
get-
like 20 favorite. Sorry, might be my favorite like first 20 minutes to a film ever. Just in
Yeah.
terms of really putting me in a kind of a really good, like I just felt really understanding of her in that world, and it was just a real weird happiness to it, even though she was alone, that she'd found that kind of routine.
Yeah.
I think that was it was more that she was just kind of content with kind of going on with life, and
Yeah.
that was it. And then she'd found something that kind of sparked something more.
And
out
she
of
went
her.
after it. She didn't
Yeah.
think about perception or what safety so much. She just kind of went.
Like, she just knew this is what she wanted, so she went for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it's a nice way to end Shape of Water off. Oh yeah, sorry. Do you mind if I just bring up some negatives before I go into?
Yeah, yeah.
See, just last point. And there were some things I didn't like about the film. I'm not sure if it deserved Best Picture. Again, because at the moment now, I still enjoyed other stuff more. But kind of talking about it, it's definitely got a lot more layers to anything else that we've watched.
Yeah,
me-
visually, the metaphor, like visual and there was a lot of symbolism going on, so I kind of liked it. I can see, what would you have given it to? Would you have given it to Dunkirk instead? Because that's a big part of it for me, is if I'm going to take it away, then what deserved it instead? Because
Yeah,
it
that's
could
a
just
good
be a
point.
weaker year if you
Yeah.
don't think that one was amazing.
I don't know. I'll get back to you next week on
There you
that.
go. No, that's fine.
And the only other thing was, I'm not sure if I like the ending.
No.
So we won't talk about. We won't. Obviously, we're not going to give it away. But I see what you're saying. See, the thing is with that ending, not to continue not giving anything away. It doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't give you any answers.
Yeah.
And you know, if you read up about the film, and I don't know how much occurred to you as you were watching it, but it's deliberately open-ended for who she is and who he is and what can happen from there.
Yeah.
And I did like that kind of side of it too. Leaves it to the viewer to be as optimistic or to maybe even think, does it matter? Like does within the story itself they've had this relationship, and there's the ending which can go one of two ways. But should it really matter that they still had this? That there was still this period of time where there was this kind of real special relationship thing going on.
Hmm.
But yeah, I can see how you could be dodgy about the ending. It was one of those that I didn't really know how it could possibly end.
Yeah.
Did you like it,
also.
Soph?
Not so much, just because, like, I kind of like. Oh no, because you can't really say. I like the way he sort of portrayed the ending in his head when about asking.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't really.
Because it's
say.
narrated basically,
Yeah.
and that kind of what I'm saying about it being open ended. The narrator kind of leans into that a bit, but he also I don't know. To me, it's such a kind of metaphor. Like the whole film is such a metaphorical thing, and it's such a kind of visual just expression that almost the whole story is kind of secondary to that, and it's hard to wrap up something that's trying to get across a feeling and a way of finding your place in the world, like the kind of film's trying to do.
Yeah.
But I can see what you mean. It's a bit kind of complicated and open the way it ends.
Anyway, shall we?
Yeah, let's.
Speaking of how it ends, shall we end this movie review with the 5-star movie review? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Da-na-na.
Oh, I was hoping you'd forgot.
A jingle. A jingle.
Oh,
a
God.
jingle. This is the 5-star movie review where we put films through the ultimate test. There are 5 questions. For every question we vote yes, the film gets 1 star. The ultimate goal? 5 stars.
Yeah.
There are 3 of us, so the majority vote wins. Though half stars are up for contention when necessary. And small disclaimer: these ratings don't always match our enjoyment or experience of the film. This is just a rating system. I thought I'd put that in because sometimes we like films that are 1 star, but we also not really that fond of stuff that gets 4 stars.
Yeah.
Child's
Okay.
play. Child's play.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So does the story make sense?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think it definitely does.
Pretty straightforward.
Question number 2: did the film have a good ending? See, we were just talking about this before, which is why I wanted to kind of get into it.
This is where I start lobbying.
I enjoy the fact that it's an open ending, but I think that again it's preference because I like things that are explained.
I just think as well, endings are so, like, what's the last thing you saw where you remember actively thinking like, wow, that was a great ending? Like, it's so hard to have
Coco.
an ending.
Yeah, I was just gonna
Oh
say.
yeah, that's true. Right, that doesn't count because we did just watch one of the best films of the year. And like, if you look at the way,
disclaimer.
I'm talking the way it's reviewed as well, just objectively, it's come out as one of the best films. But it is hard to nail an ending,
Yeah.
especially when you're that enveloped in the world and that attached to the characters that almost you don't want to let them go.
Yeah.
So I would say it can get a half star from me.
I was going to say
half
half star as well. But the only thing is, I feel like that is the only way it could have ended.
Yeah.
So
Does
therefore,
should
it is a
even be the
good
half?
ending.
And like, can we point to specific weaknesses, or we just got like a general dissatisfaction with? Is there some imaginary? Because it's easy to criticize an ending, but if you can't say why it's not perfect or what you do better, then how are we even kind
Exactly.
of okay
Yeah.
to
I
say
think
we don't
that's where I'm faulting here.
Yeah, I think if there's no other way, I'd prefer it to be ended.
Yeah, see, I would
So-
happily gave it the star. I was pulling down to a half for you guys, but
Yeah, I'd
it
probably say the
depends.
star then.
Yeah, go on, it deserves it. It's-
Cool.
You know,
It-
it is
also, it's probably, honestly, it'd probably a film that would really benefit us to have like a second, or anybody, like a second, even a third viewing.
Yeah.
Maybe we'd have a lot more kind of perspective and kind of maybe we'd have a more definitive answer for that. But yeah, I'm happy to get. I reckon it gets
Okay.
a star.
Okay, 2 stars. So were they believable characters?
Yes.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think we've talked about
Everyone was fantastic in this. You understood everyone's justification of why they did certain things or why they didn't do certain things. So, yeah, 3 stars. Did the film achieve diegetic absorption? Also, I'd said
Yes.
this before in the... I was going to say last recording, but I can't really say that. I said it before in the crowd that we went to go see it with as well.
Yeah.
Were magnificent to actually watch the film with. Because sometimes you get people in the cinema where it's like, you get a bit of chatter, a bit of thing, nothing.
No,
Yeah.
everyone was absorbed. There was no fidgeting. There was no people. Sometimes you can feel people's heads shooting around in the corner of your eye. None of that. I almost forgot I was watching it with other people. To be honest, I was totally.
I didn't
just
even hear
involved.
any rustling or anything.
No, no.
That's
it
why
was
I
nothing.
wasn't self-conscious about my dumb smile that I must have had on my face for the
Yeah.
entire film. Some Buddha thing I was doing because I was just absolutely just taken away with this kind of world and these people. So,
Yeah, the first 10 minutes I wasn't, but I think that's because I was so like, oh god, what is this
you
film?
were a bit more.
And
yeah,
I needed the
nervous
toilet.
going in.
Yeah.
So,
So 4 stars, yeah?
Yes.
And to tramp on
And
me.
lastly,
sorry, I didn't mean to stand on
No,
it.
it's fine.
did the movie change you?
This star.
This star.
I don't now. See again. It was a really fun. I really enjoyed the experience, and I'm really glad I saw it, and I'm really glad it got made. That a film like this has been made, because I think anyone who wants to make films, or anybody who wants to really do anything creative that way, write or anything, you could take a lot from this, just in terms of, putting yourself into what you do, and that kind of having a real passion about the world you kind of build, and the people and actually being observant about people and going to the effort to give them some depth.
Yeah.
So for that side of it, I think it's something that could really, maybe if I actually ever write more stuff, that it's something that's going to be deeper in the way I actually think about things. So it
Yeah.
might be there. I mean, I think this is definitely, of every film we've seen, this is the one I could get
closest.
closest to give the
Yeah.
star.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, this, even though it's I don't think we're going to give it the star. I mean, we can petition for a half star, but the fact that we got to 4 stars so easily, it makes it a better film than probably most things we've
And I
actually
think the
seen.
fact, I mean, I know it shouldn't colour this, but the fact Child's Play got 4 stars, like, this, I'd feel like at least this deserves a half star better than Child, like, even
Yeah.
within a star.
What,
It's
just out of principle.
yeah. I just think maybe, I just think in general, say for me, and also just general for people, I think this is a film that could have a real big impact on a lot of people who, especially with all the metaphors about feeling alone and trying to find your place in the world, and being an outcast,
Yeah.
and finding other people who kind of will kind of bond with you in that. I think for people, there's a lot to find in that. So I think maybe I would actually petition this for the half star, and this is the first thing I've actually genuinely petitioned for, to get anything for this star.
You tried to petition Forrest Gump.
Did I?
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
think I
you
did. I think I was like maybe doing a hypothetical, but I don't even really like Forrest Gump that much. Maybe I did, I don't know.
But no, to be honest, I'll go with that.
I'd happily give it that. I think it is the closest film as of yet, and probably in the near future.
And I
that's
think
gonna
it
get
could
that
have
close.
like those kind of subconscious impacts with just, whenever you're doing something, you'll be a bit more open about being yourself and being honest, and kind of exploring those kind of things, like when you've seen something like this.
Yeah, I think this is just outside of the whole thing. I think I'm definitely going to try and give the 10-star movie review a go,
Yeah.
because I feel like stuff could get like
We could get in more detail about
Yeah.
we could hit a few more criteria
yeah,
to help kind of flesh out how we feel about a film.
yeah, because I feel like 4.5 stars maybe, but like 9.5 maybe could be more.
We could do like a retroactive review podcast where we go
That's
back
what I
and
was-
do all
yeah,
the
we
films and just review them.
Oh no, we'd have to go over Kidnap again.
Oh gee, I'm not watching it.
That's
I
getting
refuse
half
to
a
watch
star.
even the
That's
trailer.
the first ever film that actually gets lower star rating, even though it's out of 10. But yeah, 4.5 stars for this film. Everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy.
So is that everyone? Everyone wants to finish there. Is that good?
Yes.
You got any other news you want to say? No?
No.
No?
No.
Okay, so we'll end it there. So thank you very much for listening. If you like this, then please check out the other previous episodes we've done of Tripod Talk on whatever platform you're listening to this. Also, please give us a like and subscribe so you can get up to date with everything that we're saying, because we talk about films and stuff. My name's Matt Lister. I've been your host. I've been joined by
Sophia.
and
Adil Anwar?
Mr. Adil Anwar, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, not miss. All right, that's cool. Bye.
I just noticed that's the way I always say it. And that has been Tripod Talk. See you guys.
Bye.
See ya.
See you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.